Hello, and congratulations on selecting your essay prompt. You decided to write the character development theme option of the essay. Let's get started. The first thing we want you to do is write your first body paragraph about your character at the beginning of the story. We're referring to this right now as the early hero. So the first thing you want to do is think, what can you infer about the protagonist? Descriptions, their appearance, thoughts, and feelings, actions, and or dialogue. Support your inference with evidence from the text. So that means you need to select one major trait that your character had at the beginning of the story. When you're writing this paragraph, you will start with a topic sentence, just like all body paragraphs start with, claiming what the character was like at the beginning of the story very clearly. So you can use this frame to write this paragraph. At the beginning of the story, blank, your protagonist, was blank. You will then build the paragraph with supporting details and evidence, commentary and analysis, and a transitional sentence. So, what is that supposed to look like? Here we have my character beginning based on Connor from Unwind. My notebook page was filled with this claim that at the beginning of the story, Connor was unwanted, as well as these 3 quotes from the book that I felt proved that he was unwanted. I need to take these quotes and this claim and turn it into my body paragraph. So I will start, just like every body paragraph starts with a clear topic sentence with my claim in it. My topic sentence is, at the beginning of the story, Connor was unwanted. You want to make that claim clearly for your reader so they know what the rest of the paragraph will be about. Now I can start embedding my quotations. So when I'm embedding a quotation, I use TLQC, which stands for transition, lead-in, quote, citation. This is what it looks like. For example, that is my transition that I am using here, and it's an appropriate transition because I'm about to give an example of what I just claimed. After a transition, I always put a comma. Now I need to provide context of the quote. What was happening in the story when this quote was written? While digging through his father's desk, he found airplane tickets and noticed. So I gave my reader the context of this quote, and that leads in to my quotation. My quotation is, there were only 3 tickets, his mother, his father, and his younger brother. No ticket for him. That is my quote. I put it in quotation marks to show I got it directly from the text. And in place of the last period of the quote, I have replaced it with a comma because I always end with my citation. And for this, I'm just going to put the page number in parentheses. It happened on page 6. Then I put my period. Now the fun begins, because I have to explain why that quote I selected proves the claim I made in my topic sentence that he was unwanted. So I said, this is the moment Connor knew his parents had made up their, gotta proofread, mind and decided to unwind him. Had they intended on keeping him around, they would have bought a ticket for him as well. So that is me showing, hey, his parents didn't want him, that's why they didn't buy him a ticket. That helps prove that he was unwanted. But it's not enough to really include just one quote from the book, so I'm going to include a second quote. I will use the same format, TLQC, transition, lead-in, quote, citation, to embed the next quote that I had in my notebook. Even though his family did not want him, he thought he still had hope of running away with his girlfriend, Ariana. However, when he arrived at her house that night to remind her about his situation, he said, so that's my lead-in, I've given the context. Now I need to give the quote. Running away is the only way to save my life. I put a ... in right here. It's called an ellipsis. I put that to show that I removed some words from the quotation, but it's okay because now it makes more sense in my essay. I'm about to be unwound in case you forgot. Now I'm going to skip over this part where it says she gently touches his face because I want it to be a little more smoothly embedded into my essay. So I'm going to write, she responded to him by, then I'm going to start my quote. I took out the word she and I'm just starting with gently, so I can do my ... gently, and then touching made more sense than touch is from the quote. So I can put that word in brackets to show I slightly changed this word to help it make more sense. Gently touching his face and saying, I know, but I am not. Now I will end by putting my citation. All that happened on page 9. Now I need to explain how that shows again how Connor was unwanted. This shows that although she claimed to have wanted to stay with him, she was unwilling to sacrifice everything else to do so. Ariana was all talk and no game and decided to leave Connor behind. I'm going to embed one more quotation just to further drive my point home. So I will again use TLQC. My transition I use here is furthermore. I put a comma after it. Then I give the context, the lead-in. Connor acknowledged his state of affairs when he realized. Then I put a comma before my quote, and now I can embed my quote. From the moment his parents signed those papers, he was alone, comma, and then in parentheses I'll put the page number and a period. Now I will explain again how that quote proves that Connor was unwanted. He was clearly unwanted because his parents had officially signed the unwind order, sealing his fate. Left unwanted by his family and his girlfriend, Connor ran away. Now the last piece of commentary I need to include, I need to explain why this character trait is important to the story. So it's very important that you select something that has something to do with the plot of the story. This feeling of being unwanted is important to the story because, so I'm clearly showing my teacher and everybody else reading this is what I am saying. I am now explaining why it is important to the story. It is important because it is what sets him off on his hero's journey. If he were not unwanted, he would have no reason to leave and there would be no conflict in the story. I'm willing to bet that whatever major trait your character had at the beginning of the story has something to do with setting them off on their journey. So you can use something very similar to this sentence in your paragraph. Then I need to finish with my transition to my character changes paragraph. So I end my paragraph by saying, however, even though he was unwanted at the beginning of the story, he did not remain that way. So I reviewed my main point that Connor was unwanted, and I previewed that he changed in some way, and I'm going to continue by talking about that. So this is what your character beginning paragraph should look like. I hope this has helped you, and if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask.